Hello everybody and welcome to another video on my channel. Today we will be talking about using derivatives to solve direct motion problems, one of the few things not using related rates and optimization for applications related to derivatives. So let's get started. What is motion exactly? Now, motion or straight line motion, basically, it's movement, of course, along a straight line, but it's where position can be described as a function of time. The key quantities are position, displacement, which is the final position minus the initial position, velocity, and acceleration. Real-world examples have falling objects, moving objects, and projectile motion. But projectile motion is normally going to be covered in a AP Physics course. Again, this is beyond the scope for this video. I will pretty much only be talking about evaluating velocity and acceleration and finding the point where velocity is equal to 0, or when the object is at rest. The mathematical framework is we have first a position function, s of t, or x of t, which is a function that describes an object's position at any given time. Then time is the independent variable, and position is pretty much always measured in meters or feet, pretty much be using meters because feet is very rarely used in physics, and time is usually measured in seconds. Now, let's look at the first of two fundamental quantities that we can figure out using derivatives. So the first is velocity, where v of t is the derivative of the position function. Now, basically, the velocity tells us how quickly position is changing at any given moment, kind of like the slope of a graph. And the units is distance per unit time, where it's typically measured in meters per second or feet per second. Now, positive versus negative velocity direction shows that velocity is a vector, and I will be talking about vectors when they come, but for most of calculus, they're pretty much not very important. But after the calculus unit, I'll most likely have a mini unit on them, as they are very important for topics beyond calculus. The second of the two fundamental quantities that we're going to discuss in this video, because you can figure out force through the derivative of momentum, etc. If you're an AP Physics C student, you'll know that. Or if you just study physics at home, or if you've done it before, you'll know that you can find out force through derivative of momentum, but that's beyond this video, and we're only going to be focusing on velocity and acceleration. So acceleration is the second derivative of position, or the derivative of the velocity. The acceleration, it tells us how quickly velocity is changing at any given moment, sort of like the slope of the graph. And the units is distance per unit time squared, meters per second squared, or feet per second squared. Now, relationship to forces, Newton's second law preview for any physics students, F is equal to ma, and since momentum is mass times velocity, that's how the derivative comes to be, but that's not important. But what is important is to just know that it has a relationship to forces in the form of Newton's second law. Example 1 is a falling object problem. So, what happens is we have a position function, s of t is equal to negative 4.9 t squared plus v0t plus s of 0, s0. Now, a note on this side is this position functions represents a function or an object falling under free fall. Basically, there's no other influence. The only force is gravity and the gravitational acceleration, or negative 4.9 is half of that. So basically, it'll be negative 9.8. That'll be the velocity. That'll be the acceleration. But I want to show you how to do it through derivatives, and you can also know the acceleration if you just know the gravitational constant. And this is going to be in meters per second squared. Then v0 is the initial velocity, where positive means upward. That's why the negative 4.9 is negative. And s of 0 is the initial height. So the task is to find the velocity and the acceleration functions, given initial velocity and initial position. So what's going to happen is we have to differentiate s of t. What we're going to do is we're going to start by taking the derivative of s of t. So v of t is equal to s prime or s dash of t, which is equal to negative 9.8 times t plus v0. If you notice, if we replace negative 9.8 with the acceleration, which is just in general a constant acceleration, if you're a physics student, you'll realize that that's one of the big 5 equations covered in physics, where the final velocity is equal to the initial velocity plus acceleration times time. And if you look at the position function, the final position is equal to 1/2 of acceleration times t squared plus v0t plus the initial position is another one of the big 5. So it just proves that all of this is pretty much related, and from one of the big 5 functions, it's very easy to derive most of the rest if you know what all the fundamental quantities are. But we're not done yet. We also have to find the acceleration. So next what we have to do is we have to differentiate v of t. So a of t is equal to v dash of t is equal to s double dash of t is equal to negative 9.8 because v0 is a constant, and using the power rule, negative 9.8 is just t. So negative 9.8 times t, the derivative of that, is just negative 9.8. So there we have it, and that pretty much shows that the acceleration is the gravitational acceleration. So if we take the integral, which is the opposite of the derivative, 2 times, we'll be able to arrive at this function. But what happens is actually that integration is beyond the scope of this problem, but we will revisit this when we cover integration. And here is the solution. I won't stay on this slide for long because in the description I always have the timestamps to the solution slides so you know when and where it all is, just to make sure that you're not spending a lot of time looking for it. If you already figured it out before I'm done explaining, it would be pretty useful. Now, over here I have it for feet. I forgot to change this one to meters, but it should be negative 4.9, 4.9, and then it should d by dt, negative 4.9, and so it should be negative 9.8, and then negative 9.8 over here. So what this is pretty much just the acceleration, and the 16 and 32 in fact is just what it is, except it's in feet and not meters. But on pretty much all physics tests, all physics exams, they'll ask you to use it in meters, so it's more important to memorize the negative 9.8 meters per second squared acceleration due to gravity, in case you're studying physics at all. Our next example is our particle motion problem. Basically, we're given s of t is equal to t cubed minus 60 squared plus 9t plus 2. So first we have to figure out the velocity and acceleration functions, then we have to determine when the particle is at rest, then we have to find when acceleration is equal to 0. So let's get started on the first task. Now, all we have to do for v of t is differentiate the function, so that'll be pretty simple. Using the power rule, we'll get 3t squared minus 12t plus 9. Then acceleration a of t is equal to the derivative of velocity. It is also equal to the second derivative of position, and that is equal to 6t minus 12. So that is the first of our 3 tasks done. Now the next task will be to figure out when the particle is at rest. So when v of t is equal to 0. So now v of t is equal to 3t squared, not 3t cubed, sorry, 3t squared minus 12t plus 9. And when we set this equal to 0, First, we can divide all the sides by 3. So what can happen is we can have t squared minus 4t plus 3 is equal to 0. And when we factor this, we get t squared minus t minus 3t plus 3. So what we can get is we can get t times t minus 1, then minus 3 times t minus 1. Now this becomes t minus 3 multiplied by t minus 1, and that is going to be equal, where our solutions, are going to be equal, our solutions will be t is equal to 1, 3. Now, let's say there was a negative answer for one of our solutions was a negative answer. We would immediately cross that out of our answer because there's no such thing as negative time. Our third and final task is to figure out when acceleration is equal to 0. And I'm zooming in a little bit because the text is actually quite small over here. So when acceleration is equal to 0 is when our 6t minus 12 function is equal to 0. Now, when 6t minus 12 is equal to 0, that is going to be very simple, since all we need to do is put 12 to the other side and divide both sides by 6. So t is equal to 2 is when the acceleration is equal to 0. So that's a solution to our example. The 3 tasks, step 1 and 2 is our first task, step 3 is our second task, and step 4 is finding when acceleration is equal to 0. Here is a quick problem-solving strategy. First, identify the given position function, then find velocity and find acceleration, then answer the specific functions that are given and interpret these results in context. Here is a practice problem, and the reason I put a at the end, or an S at the end, is because it's multiple sort of parts of the problem, but we can also call it just one problem. So the solutions are on the right, and the stuff over here, or the problems, are on the left. A few extensions / applications is projectile motion, where we had added a vertical position, also and vertical component, or that's what we covered earlier for the feet, or we could add even a vertical and a horizontal direction and calculate many more things like range of the projectile dependent on the angle, etc., etc. But our next thing is optimization problems in motion, where we can find maximum minimum positions, maximum minimum velocities, and so on. A few common mistakes to avoid is confusing speed with velocity. Speed is the magnitude of velocity, so it's always positive. Sign errors in directions, unit confusion, and misinterpreting what derivatives actually mean. Here is this is summary and a few key takeaways. Position to velocity to acceleration through differentiation, and in the bottom is what we've learned. And thank you so much for watching this video. It's really appreciated that you do, and please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button if you found my content entertaining and educational. So thank you so much, see you in the next one, and bye-bye.